Welcome to an overview of Spanish. Before I will tell you all about a lot of different lines and before I will show you a lot of different games, I want to give you a short, quick overview of everything that I will tell you, and a bit more. I will tell you some names of the openings I will show you, because not everything is just called Spanish. There are a lot of names of the variations, and I think this overview will also help you if you look later at the names of the variations, the names of the later videos, then you can immediately find what you are looking for here. So everything is called Spanish or Ruy Lopez after this bishop b5 move. But there are also other names that different responses from black have, and also there are some variations that white can do that have different names. Most of them named after some famous players that introduced these variations or made them famous. So the absolute main move here is to play a6, and this is nowadays just called mainline, but originally it was Morphy who first played this and made it popular. There are a lot of other possibilities. Not all these possibilities are good moves. For example, knight d4 is something we will talk about only very shortly in the sidelines video, and also something like g6 is a variation that will occur to you only very rarely. At g7, also very rare. A bit more often is this move f5. It's quite an interesting gambit, and I made an own video about this. Then there's always possibilities to do some bishop c5 stuff at any point, so I also made a video about all Spanish lines with bishops on with black bishop on c5. And what else do we got? We got Steinitz defense, also has an own video in this variation, and after a6 and then d6. This is called the improved Steinitz. Of course, there's a very big chapter of knight f6 lines. This is called the Berlin defense, and maybe you're interested in this famous Berlin endgame, how it can develop, and that is after castling. Knight takes e4, d4, there's this black move knight d6, takes, knight f5, and here you can see this Berlin endgame. This is also called Berlin Wall because it's very difficult for white to get through. This was, for example, a very big topic in the World Championship match between Kasparov and Kramnik. Here I also included this anti-Berlin system with d3, and here, for example, there's a trap that was called Mortimer trap, knight e7. I don't think you will really need this, but there's this idea that knight takes e5 is bad after c6. And queen a5 check, winning a piece. You don't really have to remember any of this. So the absolute main move is playing a6 and then playing knight f6. There's also something that's called the Norwegian variation, trying to immediately take this bishop. I will also talk about this in the early deviations. There's again this f5 move, Schliemann-Janusz. But the main move is here again to play knight f6. Then I will recommend to you castling here with white. There are some other ideas that have different names. For example, there's the four knights variation, or there's Mackenzie and Roald. I don't know all of these names. But maybe some of you do, or some of you want to know how these variations are called. Nowadays, not all of these names are commonly used. Mainline castling has no real name. Here there is the idea for black to take on e4, that's called the open defense. Here usually white plays d4 and continues the game. I made some videos about the open defense. There's also again some bishop c5 lines, and then of course there's bishop e7. Rook e1 is the move that I will tell you more about. Of course, here are again some ideas. For example, there's always a big idea to put this knight on d3 instead of c3 d4. I will not talk that much about the structures with the pawn on d3. I will show you some games and some variations, but usually I will try to make it work that the pawns will be on c3 and d4 because it's more active and I prefer this active play. Of course, this d3 is also perfectly playable and possible, and in fact even is like the modern main line. So after rook e1, there is the main move d6, and the main move is b5 first, and then playing d6. There are some people who play d6 first, but usually there's b5 first, and then to play d6. Here there's also a possibility to castle, and there's something that I will tell you about in the videos to the marshal attack, because this is very important to notice that here c3, d5 is a very interesting pawn sacrifice for black. After taking on d5 and taking on e5, black will get a lot of attack against the white king. Instead, I will show you some options to avoid it in the special videos to the marshal. About bishop b7 I will not tell you a lot, only about bishop b7 later, after d6, c3, castle, h3. Here I will talk about bishop b7, decisive variation. I will also talk about this very strange move knight b8, and I will tell you why this is not that strange as it looks. I will tell you about knight e7. Knight e7 always called Kier's variation because he really loved to play this. And I will of course also tell you something about the Tigurian variation. There are also a lot of videos about this old main line, I would say, classical main line. Yes, I think that's it for the overview. I hope that you learned some of these names. I don't think you need all of them. I also didn't know all of them before making this video course. But some of these names you will find again in the names of the titles of the later videos. So I wish you a lot of fun, a lot of nice watching of the videos. I hope you like watching the next videos. You can of course watch them in the order that I presented it to you. I think I kind of thought about this order a lot and tried to make it the best order possible so that you can build your repertoire beginning from these old classical main lines or Tigurian sides of Embraer and continuing to more modern forms. But of course, if you are so interested in the martial attack or in a Berlin defense or whatever, you can of course start also with them. I will not force you, I cannot force you to watch these videos in any order. You can also skip some of them. I can recommend you to watch the introductory example games. I think they are very nice to watch. They explain a lot of plans. And I can also advise you to play a lot of games in Spanish. And if you want to play some training games, I also have in this DVD or in this video course a couple of positions that are maybe very suitable for playing, or you can also take any other position. And I will also include some tests where you can exercise if you still remember some key positions. So that's it for now. I think so. I wish you all the best and have fun watching the next videos. And also I wish you a lot of success in your future Spanish games, of course.